USPAP, page 258. Appraisal development and scope of work issues continued. Because FHA/HUD was named as an intended user in your original report, USPAP requires you to treat the request as a new assignment. Since the intended users are an assignment element, and as such cannot be changed once the assignment is complete. See Advisory Opinion number 26, Readdressing, Transferring a Report to Another Party, and Advisory Opinion number 27, Appraising the same property for a new client for additional guidance. Number 163, Judging the actions of an appraiser's peers. Question: in the scope of work rule, one of the two tests regarding the acceptability of an appraiser's scope of work is what the appraiser's peers would do. There are many appraisers that do things differently. So how would I know what they would do in an assignment? Response: the scope of work rule states that the acceptability of an appraiser's work is judged based on two tests. The expectations of parties who are regularly intended users for similar assignments, and what an appraiser's peers' actions would be in performing the same or a similar assignment. The first step in knowing what your peers would do is to identify your peers. In USPAP, the term appraiser's peers has a specific meaning. It is defined as other appraisers who have expertise and competency in a similar type of assignment. This definition illustrates that an appraiser's peers are assignment specific and may change from assignment to assignment. This is because appraisers have varying levels of expertise and competency in specific property types, geographic locations, or other important areas of appraisal. For more information on appraisers' peers, please see Advisory Opinion number 29, An Acceptable Scope of Work. Knowledge about what an appraiser's peers would do in a similar assignment comes through being a participant in the profession. Typical forums that allow appraiser professionals to share information about practice include appraisal journals and publications, professional meetings and conferences, education through courses and seminars, and appraisal discussion groups. Number 164, Type and definition of value and citation of source. Question: USPAP requires appraisal reports to state the type and definition of value and cite the source of the definition. What is the type of value? What sources can be used to comply with the requirement to cite the source of the definition of value? Response: standards 2, 6, 8, and 10 require that appraisal reports state the type and definition of value and cite the source of the definition. The exact wording varies slightly for Standard 10, The type of value is the general class or category of value. Examples include market value or fair value. The type of value provides a specific description of the characteristics and conditions of the type of value. Examples include definitions provided on a form report in FIREA, in U.S. accounting regulations, U.S. tax regulations, and various court rulings. USPAP does not provide any specific definition of value or endorse any particular source. It merely defines the general components required to establish a market value definition. End of page. Page 259. Sources of value definitions could include, for example, a regulatory agency, a legal jurisdiction, an engagement letter, or a textbook. Number 165, market rent opinion. Question: I was asked by a client to provide an opinion of the market rent for a commercial property. Is such an assignment considered an appraisal? Response: yes. USPAP defines an appraisal as an opinion of value, and market rent is an expression of value for the right to use a property. Therefore, to comply with USPAP in this assignment, an appraiser would have to follow standard number 1 to develop the opinion of the market rent, and standard 2 to report the assignment results. Number 166, using the definition of value provided. Question: a client has asked me to use a definition of value included in an engagement letter for the assignment. Is this permitted? Response: yes. As part of identifying the problem to be solved, the appraiser must identify the type and definition of value. But USPAP does not require the use of any specific type or definition of value. For example, in a real property appraisal assignment, Standards Rule 1-2C requires the appraiser to identify the type and definition of the value. In addition, Standards Rule 2-2A V and 2-2B V require that the report state the type and definition of value and cite the source of the definition. Comment: stating the definition of value also requires any comments needed to clearly indicate to intended users how the definition is being applied. The source of the definition of value could be as simple as provided in the engagement letter. The requirements for identifying and reporting the definition of value are the same for personal property and business and intangible asset appraisals. Number 167, sales or financing concessions. Question. The real estate market I appraise in has slowed down over the last 12 to 18 months, and it is now extremely common to see seller concessions as part of a purchase transaction. What are the USPAP requirements regarding proper treatment of sales/financing concessions? Response. Sales or financing concessions may have an effect on the price paid for a property. As such, it is important for the appraiser to recognize this and analyze their impact. Sales or financing concessions should be considered in light of the type and definition of value used in an assignment. If the value opinion to be developed in a real property appraisal assignment is market value, then Standards Rule 1-2C requires the appraiser to ascertain whether the value is to be the most probable price. Number 1, in terms of cash, or number 2, in terms of financial arrangements equivalent to cash, or number 3, in other precisely defined terms, and number 4, if the opinion of value is to be based on non-market financing or financing with unusual conditions or incentives, the terms of such financing must be clearly, that was highlighted, and end of page.